Welcome back to the channel. It has been another eventful week in aviation, with developments stretching from brand new safety technology in the United States to billion-pound infrastructure challenges in London, emergency landings in India, and some sobering incidents in general aviation. In the next 10 minutes, we'll walk you through the biggest stories that shaped the skies this week. So fasten your seatbelts, and let's get started. 1. Southwest Airlines introduces secondary cockpit barrier. One of the most talked about developments this week came from the United States, where Southwest Airlines officially began flying its first Boeing 737 MAX 8 fitted with a secondary cockpit barrier. The maiden flight, from Phoenix to Denver, marks a significant step forward in aviation security. So what exactly is a secondary barrier? After the 9/11 attacks, reinforced cockpit doors became mandatory. But one vulnerability remained. Whenever pilots needed to exit the flight deck, such as for a restroom break, the door had to be opened. A secondary barrier is a lightweight gate that can be deployed quickly in the cabin, physically blocking access while the cockpit door is open. The FAA has mandated these barriers on all newly built aircraft starting in 2026, but Southwest is moving early. The airline expects to receive around 25 of these enhanced aircraft this year, setting an example for the rest of the industry. While most passengers may never notice the change, experts say it's one of the simplest and most effective upgrades to prevent hijackings. 2. Heathrow's third runway and the billion-pound planning bill. Across the Atlantic, London's Heathrow Airport has been making headlines of a very different kind. The airport's long-debated third runway project has now generated nearly £1 billion in planning costs. Heathrow has already spent more than $500 million before the pandemic halted progress, and is now asking regulators to let them recover another £320 million of planning expenses by 2026. The proposal has faced years of political, financial, and environmental controversy. Supporters argue that Heathrow, already Europe's busiest airport by international traffic, desperately needs more capacity to stay competitive against hubs like Paris Charles de Gaulle or Amsterdam Schiphol. Opponents, however, highlight the enormous cost, the environmental impact, and even question whether passenger demand will justify the investment. Meanwhile, rivals such as businessman Surinder Arora, backed by Singapore's Changi Airport, have suggested alternative expansion plans that could be cheaper and potentially more efficient. With Britain's government targeting a 2035 completion date, Heathrow insists approval is urgently needed, otherwise the entire project could be delayed indefinitely. This debate is set to continue for years, but the latest figures show just how expensive paperwork alone can become in aviation megaprojects. 3. Legal storm in New York, NYPD Aviation Unit lawsuit. From infrastructure to law, the New York Police Department's Aviation Unit is now at the center of a serious lawsuit. 3 pilots have accused their former boss and the city itself of racial discrimination, retaliation, and even compromising flight safety. According to the lawsuit, the pilots claim they were denied promotions and key assignments in favor of less qualified individuals who allegedly had personal ties to management. One of the pilots states that after reporting safety concerns, he was grounded and stripped of flying duties. Another alleges that his helicopter was damaged due to negligence, and the incident was subsequently covered up to avoid embarrassment. If these claims are accurate, they raise grave concerns not only about workplace discrimination but also about public safety, since the NYPD Aviation Unit plays a crucial role in rescue operations, counterterrorism, and crowd monitoring in New York City. The department and the former boss have so far declined to comment, but the case could have major consequences for both the individuals involved and for trust in the aviation unit. 4. Emergency return in India. Air India Flight AI 2913. In Asia, passengers aboard Air India Flight AI 2913 experienced a dramatic return to Delhi shortly after takeoff this week. The aircraft, bound for Indore, had just climbed out of Delhi Airport when cockpit instruments indicated a possible fire in the right engine. The pilots immediately declared an emergency, alerted air traffic control, and returned to Delhi under priority handling. Fortunately, the landing was safe and no injuries were reported. The airline later confirmed that the indication was under investigation and the engine would undergo a full technical inspection before the aircraft returned to service. Events like this remind us why rigorous training and emergency preparedness are so critical. While rare, engine fire warnings are treated with maximum seriousness. In this case, The crew's quick and professional response ensured passenger safety, turning what could have been a disaster into a controlled precautionary return. 5. General aviation tragedy, collision with power lines. Sadly, not all flights this week ended safely. In the United States, a small private aircraft crashed after colliding with power lines during a low-altitude maneuver over water, killing 2 people on board. Preliminary reports suggest the pilot may have been flying too low to the surface, a maneuver sometimes performed recreationally but one that leaves little margin for error. Power lines, often difficult to see from the cockpit, posed a deadly obstacle. Investigators are now piecing together the timeline, but the tragedy highlights a recurring danger in general aviation. According to the FAA, collisions with obstacles such as trees, towers, or power lines remain one of the leading causes of small aircraft accidents. It's a sobering reminder of the importance of maintaining safe altitudes, particularly when flying in unfamiliar areas. 6. A week of incidents tracked by the FAA. The FAA also reported a series of smaller, yet noteworthy accidents across the country. On August 29, a Cessna 172 went down at New Smyrna Beach, Florida, with 2 people on board. Both were treated at the scene, and the NTSB is investigating the cause. In Centerville, Alabama, a small aircraft crash on August 20 involved 2 occupants. Details remain limited. On August 22 in Colorado, a vintage plane lost control during landing, with its propeller striking the runway. Luckily, there were no serious injuries. In Massachusetts, a pilot was forced to land directly on a beach on August 21, startling vacationers but avoiding disaster. And in Mesa, Arizona, a light aircraft suffered a landing gear collapse on August 18, causing damage to the plane but sparing the crew. While none of these incidents grabbed international headlines, collectively they paint a picture of how demanding general aviation remains. Every week, the FAA and NTSB handle multiple investigations, reinforcing how safety is a constant focus, not just for airlines, but for private pilots as well. And that concludes this week's roundup of global aviation news. From Southwest Airlines pushing forward with new cockpit security, to Heathrow struggling with billion-pound paperwork, to lawsuits, emergencies, and accidents, it has been a week filled with lessons for both professionals and passengers alike. If you enjoyed this update, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss next week's report.